Yes, hello everyone, Fulcher, Ashkedy, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another live show here. It is all four of us in the studio to preview and predict the All-Ireland Football Championship of 2026. And we're going to talk about all of the provincial championships, predict who we think is going to win the All-Ireland, and then also predict who we think is going to win the Táilteann Cup as well. Now, disclaimer, this video is being recorded on the 28th of March 2026. It is before the league finals, so we don't know who wins between Kerry and Donegal. We don't know who wins between Cork and Meath, and even the Division 3 and 4 finals, they haven't taken place yet. We're recording this in the morning. So any information that has transpired since then has not happened on this date. But lads, we are here. We are going to preview and bravely predict what is going to happen in the football year of 2026. I'm joined by Liam White, Aaron Prendergast and Matthew Hurley, and my name is Seamus Brady. We have the full house here of Cúilín Media. Ready to go, Aaron?
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to getting into it. I've said on one of my own videos and on the podcast before, I think the Provincial Championships this year, it's looking like obviously Munster maybe up until the final might be that competitive, but I think all four championships are going to be very competitive. You could pick different teams for each one of them, I think. And then obviously a new structure, which we'll get onto, and then obviously the All-Ireland series as well. So, yeah, looking forward to getting into it, lads.
How are you feeling, Liam?
Yeah, another chaotic year of football coming in. I loved football last year. I think it had a great rebirth, to be honest with you, with the new rules and everything. There was a breath of fresh air with some of the teams that came through last year as well. And I'm really looking forward to the season ahead. Looking forward to seeing the comeback potentially from a Donegal perspective. Looking forward to seeing who's going to challenge Kerry. Like you said, obviously after Dublin not winning Leinster last year, are they going to regroup this year? Obviously after the league campaign as well, it's a big season for Gerard Brennan. Have Mayo turned a corner after the league campaign going into Connacht, teams like this? So really looking forward to it.
Matthew, how are we feeling?
Yeah, it should be an interesting football championship. Obviously a new format this year in terms of it's very like the Sigurdsson format, not the group stage this year, which will be quite interesting. Maybe we'll be at the end of the season and many people want the group stage format back after a lot of complaints over it. But look, it's a new format. We have to give it time and we'll see how it all transpires. But it should be a very interesting season.
Seems to be confusing. We'll get into that later on in the championship. But yes, we're going to dive in straight away with the provincial championships and we're going to go alphabetically. So C, the Connacht Championship. What are we expecting from the West this season, Liam? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I think we're expecting probably the three big ones, Roscommon, Galway, Mayo, to be probably the front runners. Again, the way that it's working out here, I do have Roscommon beating New York in the opening round and Mayo to beat London. I think that's probably maybe expected, and I think Sligo will beat Leitrim in the opening round as well. And then you have Sligo, Sligo going up against Galway, which nearly was a shock a couple of years ago, but I just don't maybe see that happening this time around again. I don't think Sligo have maybe progressed in the way that maybe we would have hoped over the last couple of seasons, especially in the league campaign, which is ironic because in the championship last year, then they went and nearly bet Mayo, which would have been a real shock after a very poor league campaign, but they've had another poor league this season as well, so I don't expect much from them in the Connacht Championship to that degree anyways in terms of challenging. But then you're left with a Mayo-Roscommon semi-final. Now, I know Mayo destroyed them in the final round and it was 426 to 111, but Roscommon were already safe. I don't think they could have gone to a league final. I could be wrong saying that, but I don't think they had much really to play for, albeit you still have people who would have been disappointed with how they turned out, considering, look, 20 euro to a match, and you're thinking, can you not at least put up a bit of a fight against a team that you could be potentially playing in a Connacht semi-final? But I think it's going to be a really good contest between Mayo and Roscommon. Obviously, this season could be the potential breakout year of Colby MacDonald as well after the league campaign that he had and the hype that's surrounding him. Obviously, Andy Moore and his manager, can he win a potential provincial championship with Mayo as he did many times as a player? I think Mayo and Galway are going to be the two teams that are going to be in the final. I think Mayo will beat Roscommon in the Connacht Championship. I don't think it'll be straightforward or anything like that. Roscommon have improved massively this year. They're playing a lot more expansive, open football, really nice football, I have to say. I've really enjoyed it this season. Had some big wins as well throughout the league campaign. We're some people say robbed against Kerry. Whether you still believe that or not, I don't know. It's up for debate, obviously. But yeah, I'm expecting it to be a Mayo-Galway final once again, which sounds boring because we've had it a lot over the last couple of years, but they are the two best sides in Connacht still for me, to be honest with you. And I think the red and green of Mayo is going to shine again in Connacht. I think they're going to win a provincial title this year. Galway in the league, they got some good results. They threw it away against Donegal, but they got a draw against them. Beat Armagh, shouldn't have in my opinion. They drew with Kerry. I think that was more Kerry falling apart than anything. And I know they bet Dublin, but again, probably helped by the fact that, you know, Dublin just kind of probably shot themselves in the foot in that game as well. Albeit Galway have players to come back as well, and they have a really good squad. I think if anyone wants to win a Connacht Championship this year, it has to be Mayo. I think Andy Moran will be desperate to, you know, stamp his authority in this province this year, get a bit of silverware under their belt as well. They had a very, very good league campaign as well. Aidan O'Shea, not much longer potentially for him as a player. He'll want to win another one. You know, other players as well. Ryan O'Donoghue, you know, for both these types of players. And I think we're in for an exciting Connacht final. And I think Mayo are going to stop Galway from continuing their good run.
Do you know what? I absolutely agree with you. I'm saying that Mayo are going to win the Connacht Championship this season. I sat here a couple of months ago and said that I thought that they'd finish second in the league. They nearly did. They nearly got to that position. They were right up there. They did have an impressive league campaign. They wanted to make a splash under Andy Moran, obviously coming in as new manager. Players like Kobe MacDonald getting a run out. Players like Dara Byrne, who's going under the radar for just how good he's been. Like, they look very, very solid, Mayo, I have to say. And then you're not even talking anymore about players like Paddy Durkin, Matthew Ruan, these lads that are still fabulous footballers. Jordan Flynn now has matured into a real leader of this Mayo team. And the way that they launched themselves towards All-Ireland contention, the way that they constantly put themselves there, was through dominance in the province. They were clearly the best team in Connacht in the 2010s, up until obviously Kevin Walsh came in and started that kind of change in Galway, which then was turbocharged by Pádraig Joyce. But when Mayo were competing for those All-Irelands, they had a stranglehold over Connacht. And I think they are aware that if they want to have a launch pad to go back to All-Ireland finals and everything like that, it's no harm to be winning Connacht Championships every year again. I think it starts this year. I think Mayo are going to win the Connacht Championship this year. Aaron, what are you expecting?
Yeah, I agree with you lads as well, to be honest. I think there are a lot of question marks over Galway. Like, will they have Damien Comer back? What's the status with Shane Walsh?
Matthew
Thompson as well. So there are a lot of question marks over Galway, and I think, like, for them, like, they will be coming in having not really been tested, like, against Sligo, really, in my opinion. I think they'll win that game fairly comfortably. Mayo will be coming in buzzing, in my opinion, after a win versus Roscommon, and I actually think that game will be very close as well. I don't think there'll be much between Mayo and Roscommon, so I think that will feel like a big win from a Mayo perspective. But yeah, it's just the sheer depth of their panel. Like, I mean, it felt like in previous seasons, maybe there was a bit of an over-reliance on Ryan O'Donoghue a little bit, but, you know, their panel has proved hugely. Like, obviously, Kobe's mentioned quite a lot, but I think Keane McHale's been a brilliant young player who's obviously come in. Dara Byrne, Jack Carney's a great player as well. And they're kicking 2-pointers. You know, I think no size scored more 2-pointers than them in the league phase. Obviously, that might change with Kerry Donegal, but yeah, no, I think Mayo have been very strong, and I do think they'll beat Galway, and I actually think they'll beat Galway a little bit more comfortable than people think.
Matthew, is it a clean sweep for Mayo?
It is. I think Mayo will win Connacht as well. The players that they have brought in, like, it is worth mentioning, it's a question mark whether Kobe will play the All-Ireland Championship because of his commitments over in Australia. But then again, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in all of that. But Dara Byrne is a very good player. Obviously, Keane McHale is a very good player going in under the radar. As well, the players from UL, Sean Morahan, I know he hasn't played much for Mayo, but he's a young player coming up. Aidan O'Shea is loving his football at this present moment. Robbie Henley's doing well in goals. So Mayo look very, very good. I'd agree with Aaron. Question marks over Galway. I know Damien Comer, Shane Walsh are decent enough players. They could come back into the team. But the younger players haven't really excelled as much in the league as maybe Galway would have hoped. I know Oisin McDonagh has done well. Shane McGrath's done well in a few games. The games against Kerry and Armagh in particular. But Galway need more of them to step up. And as for Roscommon, Dermot Murta, Derek Craig, Enda Smith, absolutely superb. For the majority, they were the top scorers for play and overall in the league until obviously the obvious and David Clifford started to parade in their party. But there is still the question mark over Roscommon. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Look, they've done well in the league. Can they back it up in the championship? Remember last year, they got promoted from Division 2. They only won one game in the championship against London. They went out in the championship against Cork, and to be honest, Cork were much better than Roscommon on the day in Portlaoise. I'd still have question marks over Roscommon in terms of the championship. Can they transfer the league form into the championship form? But yeah, I'd agree with you lads, Mayo to win it.
I've seen Roscommon look superb in Division 1 before and then flatter to deceive. They haven't got to the semi-finals yet in this 2010 onwards. They haven't, with this crop of Enda Smith, the Murtas, they haven't got to the semi-finals, and they've had plenty of years where they look like they were good enough to get there. Whatever has held them back, I'm not quite sure. But I've seen them have great leagues and then stutter at the start of the championship. I remember when Kevin McStay was manager, they finished, I think, third in Division 1 and then got taken to extra time by New York. Like, they have a record of stuttering at the start of the championship. However, they also have a record of throwing a spanner in the works for Galway and Mayo consistently. 2019, 2017, winning these Connacht championships. And what was interesting is both of those years that they won it, I don't think anybody really had them as favourites to win it going into that season. Yeah. I think the year where they're coming in as hot favourites, I don't think it actually suits them as much as when they're coming in as underdogs with nothing to lose. I think that they'd like it in that semi-final that everybody's talking about Mayo. Especially if Mayo go out and blitz London and Kobe scores 2-6 again or something. Like, I think they'd love it coming in under the radar. But I still think Mayo will just about shade it in that semi-final. I do think that there was a bit of playing possum with Roscommon. I think I'm surprised that they didn't go for the league final, but they definitely weren't at full strength and weren't going for it. If they were, then I'm even more worried. but I think Mayo will shade that game. I think Galway will beat Sligo in the other semi-final, and I think then Mayo will beat Galway in the final, and we're all in agreement that that's exactly how it's going to go, which is interesting. And watch Roscommon will beat Mayo now. But anyway, we'll move on to the next championship, the Leinster Championship. And Aaron, as a fellow Leinster man, the first question I'm going to ask, can you remember a Leinster Championship so anticipated now?
Yeah, it's crazy, really. It's mad how quickly it's changed. I mean, like, the Leinster Football Championship for a long time was a closed shop. I mean, it was like the elephant in the room. Like, nobody wanted to speak about it. And now it's going to be hugely anticipated. I think both potential semi-finals are going to be very interesting. I think Louth versus Wexford in the quarterfinals as well be a very interesting game. Both of those two obviously in the same division. And there does feel like there's a lot of Leinster teams kind of rising up. I know Kildare and Offaly got relegated, sorry to remind you, Liam.
No, I'm joking, you're fine.
You do have Longford and Carlow rising up. I still think Kildare, with some of the younger players and the underage success in recent seasons, will improve and will get better. But yeah, this might be a bit of a controversial prediction, but I actually think it'll be Meath and Louth in the final again in Leinster. I actually think Louth will beat Dublin in. I'm going to say that game's in Newbridge potentially. We'll obviously see what happens. It could be in Portlaoise, but if Meath are playing Kildare, then yeah, that kind of leaves Newbridge free there. A few reasons why I think that's going to happen. I think firstly, it's not in Croke Park, so that obviously is a huge factor. There could be no Ger Brennan. He might not be potentially there. Let's not forget that Louth are going to be absolutely gunning for Ger Brennan as well, because he left them, and those players will want to prove a point. And I think Louth have improved. I actually think they've gotten better since last season. Paul Matthews looks a very good player. Kieran McCardle, Tyg McDonald. Like, they've brought through a few of those under 20 players, and they look very, very well rounded considering some of the injuries. And I think when you look at how they controlled the games versus both Derry and Tyrone, like, I think if this game is a battle, I just think Dublin will struggle, to be honest. And I think there's question marks over Con. Like, is Con going to be fit enough to play? We don't know. Obviously, it's a long way away. Cormac Costello has been in now. Doesn't look like Con Basquel is going to be back, so we're going to be missing a few of the Ballybowden lads. Luke Bretnock, will he be back? Like, I think there's a lot of question marks over Dublin, and I think Louth are going to beat Dublin, and it's going to be a repeat of last year's Leinster final.
Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it will be a Meath-Louth final once again, and hopefully not as dramatic as 2010. Hopefully more like last year's final, where it was played in good spirits, and Louth won in the end. But yeah, look, I do agree with you. I think Dublin could struggle against Louth, to be honest with you, especially with it being away from Croke Park. But even if it was in Croke Park, Louth have now won a final in Croke Park. Yeah, so that could even potentially help them even more if they were playing Dublin there. But albeit Dublin have beaten them in a few Leinster finals over the last couple of years in Croke Park as well, so they do have that small bit of an advantage. And I do agree with you. I think the Louth players will be absolutely gunning for Ger Brennan, to be honest with you. I think there'll be not even venom there, but just to say, like, you left us after winning a Leinster final, we're going to prove to you that was no fluke, or whilst you did good work with us, we're going to show you that was down to us. And I think, look, I predicted Louth to go up to Division 1. I wasn't too far off it. They beat Tyrone, they beat Derry. Okay, they had a poor performance against Cork, but the way they responded to that was really, really good. They even only lost to Meath by a point, and there was a Royal Rumble before this game started as well, which you always love to see between the two sides. I think Sam Mulroy is just still at his absolute best at the moment, to be honest with you. Conor Grimes is still there. Craig Lennon is just an absolute joy to watch, to be honest with you. I love watching him running up and down the field. There's a sense of Thomas Sullivan, often to the degree he gets his scores from coming up the field. Obviously, Thomas Sullivan has the kick outside the boot. I don't think Craig Lennon quite has, maybe, but still similar enough in their stature in a way. And yeah, I think it's going to be a Louth Dublin final, albeit I should have probably even taken into consideration. I think Wexford will give Louth a good rattle in the Leinster quarter final. In terms of ourselves, I'm saying we'll beat Laois more by hope than anything else. Hopefully, if we can get a couple of players back, Dylan Hyland's back, Shane Tierney's back, if we can get a few more of them back, then I think we might beat them. But I can see Carlow beating Wicklow. Westmeath, I think, will beat Longford. I think Meath will beat Westmeath in the Leinster quarter final. But it could be another case for Westmeath of so close, but yet so far, to be honest with you. Like they lost so narrowing to Wexford. It was like, I think somebody put the Aguero commentary over the Wexford goal as well, which I think was just absolute cinema. But I like what Mark McHugh is doing with Westmeath, and I don't think losing to Meath will be defining for them or anything like that. I think they will put up a good fight to them. I think Kildare will beat Offaly in the quarter final. I will be honest about that. The game is in Newbridge as well, you know, if it does end up that way. I don't think Kildare, though, will be good enough to beat Meath at this moment in time. I think Meath are the strongest side in Leinster this year. I think the way they performed in the league, albeit they lost to Cork, I think they were savage in the league, to be honest with you. And some of the players that they have, Owen Frains, I think Jordan Morris is just an absolute joy to watch at the moment. The Raffertys, you know, these types of players, Flynn in midfield, like they just have savage players at the moment. And yeah, I do fully agree. I think it's going to be a Meath Louth final, and I think it could be another cracker. And I think another sellout in Croke Park. What was it, 60,000 was at it last year? Yeah. I think you could get 75, 80,000 out of this year.
I think 70,000 were at
was
the Leinster final last year. I'm going to spell out now how I think the Leinster Championship is going to go. I think in the preliminary rounds, I think Offaly will beat Laois. I think Wicklow will beat Carlow. I think I genuinely think Oisin McConville will be absolutely putting out the rallying call for these players, and they need to bounce back. And I think they'll burst Carlow's balloon there in the preliminary round. And I think Westmeath will beat Longford. Then in the quarterfinals, I think Louth will shade it against Wexford. I think Dublin will beat Wicklow. I think Meath will beat Westmeath. And I think it's a very interesting clash that between Kildare and Offaly, because you look at the Division 3 final last year, and then you look at the league clash this year. Shade to Kildare this time, sorry. Semi-finals then, I think Dublin will beat Louth. I think people are running a little bit too fast. We had a bad league campaign, yes. Still seen enough in some of the performances to say that we could beat Louth. And Louth haven't beaten us in the championship in a long, long time. Yeah. And I think stuff like that is very important. I think it's the type of situation. I swear to God, I met GA fans and was speaking to GA fans. They said that like Meath did Louth a favour almost, taking Dublin out of the way. Because if Dublin had got to that Leinster final, it would have been a different thing, more difficult thing psychologically for Louth to beat Dublin in a Leinster final than to beat Meath in a Leinster final. Because Meath got in, it was two teams, none of them had Leinster medals, both of them just going for it. Whereas if Dublin are in that Leinster final, you're playing against the champions, you're playing against a team who know how to close out these Leinster finals, and a team that you lost to in two previous Leinster finals. It's a completely different kettle of fish. And I do believe, weirdly enough, that Dublin will be pissed off listening to all this talk about now they're the third best team in Leinster overnight because they had a bad run of form. They're going to want to bite back. And I think against Louth, it's the perfect opportunity to do it. They'll go into that game as underdogs, I think, by a lot of people. I think they'll win that game. Then they'll play Meath in the Leinster final. And I actually believe that for the first time since the Celtic Tiger, I think we could see a sellout for a Leinster final if Dublin play Meath. I think that could be vintage throwback to 2007 between Dublin and Meath type. But imagine 3 years ago saying that we'd sit here in this room and not one of us would confidently say that Dublin will win Leinster.
Yeah, that's mental.
That, like, mental how quick it's gone. Do you know what? I will say Dublin.
Yeah, do you know, just jumping in there quickly, I actually think if we beat Louth, I actually have a funny feeling we beat Meath as well. Yeah. I think the confidence and everything else, I think in Croke Park as well, I think it would just be a little bit different, I think, playing Meath. Like, and I do agree, look, I hope I'm wrong.
Matthew, what are you expecting from Leinster this year?
I don't think Dublin make it the final either.
Okay. This is what I mean.
Maybe it's a good thing. I actually kind of like it.
It's a free hit.
No, you don't trust me.
It's a free hit in the championship that we've won 16 out of the last 17 titles or something. Like, it's a bit mad when you put it that way. How quick the perception of Dublin has fallen.
Yeah, exactly. I have the same as the two lads across from me here. I think it'll be Louth and Meath in the final again. But this time I think Meath will get over the line. I think Meath have an aura of getting to the latter stages of All-Irelands. The likes of Sean Rafferty have really excelled in midfield as well. They're really, really strong. Even in that game, I know Liam mentioned the Cork game, but even I was at that game and Meath were very, very good in that game. It was just, it's sort of a game which you described so many times, Seamus. You win 5 times out of 10. The other side wins 5 times out of 10. Like Meath and Cork were very, very even that day in Páirc Uí Rinn. I just think the fans getting behind Cork that day got them over the Rice. That was the greater Rice that tipped it in their scale. But look, I think Meath are looking very, very good. And they have the experience of playing in Croke Park now. Like, even if Dublin do reach the final, they do have experience of playing in Croke Park during the league campaign when they were at home. That will be a massive, massive advantage to them. And Robbie Brennan, it seems like a positive vibe in the camp at this present moment. Like, talking to Davy Rispin, talking to many other Meath journalists or any other Meath fans. Like, the players are smiling when they play. Robbie Brennan seems to be, it's not an us against the world mentality with Robbie. That's what Davy was saying to me. It's, we're all in this together. And I think Meath have a unity now. They have a togetherness, and they look very, very good for Leinster at this present moment. I'd probably go with the same 4 semi-finals. I think it'll be Louth against Dublin, Kildare against Meath. I think Meath and Louth will get to the final. Look, I think the advantage for Louth in beating Dublin is it will be on a neutral venue. It won't be on a Croke Park. If it's on a new Ridge Louth have played there before, I think they'll be used to the surroundings. Dublin haven't. I don't think they've played in New Ridge recently. So
No, not on the new.
Not on the new one, I don't think, no.
So that's another kind of angle to say that Louth might pull off what seemed to be impossible a few seasons ago, and they'll do it this year. But they faced a Dublin team that was on a good kind of trajectory a couple of years ago, and they really tested them in Croke Park.
Yeah.
They'll be hungry to win it this time in a neutral venue.
Where are we on a good trajectory that time?
Well, I think that was that
2020,
24, yeah.
We
were
were
it
all
was
Ireland
119 to
champions.
212.
We were all
Yeah.
Ireland champions.
You reached the league final?
Yeah. To be fair, yeah.
We were the favourites up until we got beat.
I was thinking about the 2023 Leinster final, and we were playing terrible that year up until the penny dropped against Mayo. We were playing bad, but that was the year actually where we ran out comfortable winners in the Leinster final that year. It was 2024 that we made a bit of. It was a much closer game.
It was the year that Galway knocked you in the quarter final. Yeah.
No, 2024
was Galway.
was Galway. Yeah, you're right. And last year was Tyrone. Okay. So we've gone Louth,
Meath,
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 and Dublin. Okay, very, very good. We're going to move on now to the Munster Championship. So obviously, Matthew, things are different this year because Kerry and Cork are on opposite sides of the draw.
Hallelujah. And I think it's brilliant, to be fair, to anybody outside Munster as well. Like, I was just, I'll say this before, I'll say it again, but I was angry that the likes of Offaly, for example, with Lee be in the room now, didn't get the chance of playing against Sam Maguire because of a Munster draw.
Yeah.
Considering we couldn't win Táilteann, maybe it wasn't a bad thing in the end.
Well, my thing with that, just this is just as an outsider looking in. I know that, like, you're a Munster man. You were right there. Like, you've a bit more of emotional attachment to it. But my thing about it, looking at it, was I think that putting that incentive into the provincial championships is very good. But I think you should have to win your provincial championship if you want to leapfrog into the Sam Maguire from Division 4 or Division 3. Because I think when you look at it in this way, that Clare were right on the bubble between Division 2 and Division 3, and they were very, very solid in Division 2, but then they slipped under to Division 3 the year that they beat Cork in that semi-final in Munster to get to the final. That was a very good win, and I don't think anybody really had any issue with it at that time because they'd beaten a very good Cork team to get to that Munster final. It was the year where they beat 2 Division 4 teams in Waterford and Tipperary, and that got them into the Sam Maguire. Whereas then you look at Sligo, another example, Sligo beating, I think it was London and New York to get to the Connacht final, and they got hammered. But they were in the Sam Maguire because of that. Whereas you look at Antrim would have to go through like
Armagh.
Donegal, Armagh, Tyrone, like these counties to get to an Ulster final. I think if Clare had beaten Kerry in a Munster final, or if Sligo had beaten Galway in a Connacht final, nobody would feel any kind of way about them getting into the Sam Maguire based off that. But I think that's the only way you should be able to leapfrog into the Sam Maguire Cup from the Táilteann Cup, in my opinion. That's because I think that heightens the potential of that provincial final as well. Because I think they go into it going, we're underdogs here, but we're already in the Sam Maguire Cup as well. Like, I know that they want to win the provincial final, but it might just add a little bit extra spice to the day as well.
Yeah.
But the Munster Championship, Matthew, what are you expecting from it this year?
Yeah, to be honest, looking at the draw, let's call it a spade. Without talking about systems in the All-Ireland, it will be a Kerry Cork final in Clardy. It will be.
Who's your biggest threat to that happening?
Well, it has to be on the Cork side of the draw because obviously Kerry should be clear comfortably. I think that game's on in Ennis, but Clare didn't seem up to much in Division 3, so I think Kerry should take care of them comfortably. What could be potentially Limerick, but they got relegated from Division 3.
Yeah.
So that's it. Cork got promoted from Division 2, so you'd imagine Cork were at home against Limerick, so
Yeah.
you'd imagine they'll get over the line there. And then it's either Waterford or Tipperary, who've been in Division 4 for a number of seasons, in the semi-final. If it's Tip, it's Simple Stadium, but to be honest, that shouldn't make much of a difference. Cork should get over the line there. What Cork have shown this year is consistency, and if they show that, they should get over Limerick and Tipperary. Obviously, with the greatest respect to them, they should get over those counties and get to the Munster final. But yeah, to answer your question, probably Limerick, potentially.
I think it's hard to see past the Kerry Cork Munster final, isn't it? So, I do agree. Like Limerick, based off their form last season when they got to the Táilteann Cup final, I do think maybe they could have given Cork some problems. But given how Cork looked fantastic in Division 2, got promotion and everything like that, I cannot see anything other than the Kerry Cork final because I can't see Clare beating Kerry either in that semi final. So then the question is Kerry or Cork. I think it's fair to say that Kerry have to be favourites in more or less every game that they play right now.
Yeah.
Including that league final, which hasn't taken place yet against Donegal as we're recording this. But you look at last season, Cork taking them to extra time. Obviously, you'll remember that game better than everyone. Was it a case that Cork were always chasing Kerry down, or looking back, were you going, we should have won that game?
100% we should have won it. It was a game where Kerry were on the ropes for most of it, and without David Clifford and particularly Joe O'Connor around the middle, Kerry wouldn't have got out of that game. We were very close. We had a few chances to win the game. I remember distinctly Rory Dean kicked a point, and I thought, this is it, we're finally going to beat them. And then Sean O'Shea scores the goal. Admittedly, it was steps, but look, that's where the cookie crumbles. And obviously, in extra time, we were very, very close. We were neck and neck. The red card happens for Sean Brady. Potentially a harsh enough call. And then just a bolt out of the blue from Joe O'Connor. That absolutely was a superb finish. And yeah, it was a brilliant finish. But then again, a few seconds after that, we could have got a goal down the other end. Conor Callan missed a chance that could have nicked it for us. But yeah, the players were absolutely devastated at that night. John Cleary kind of knew it as well. That was a big chance that kind of passed them by. And especially this year in Killarney, or this year the Munster final being out of Killarney, whatever Cork have done in the league, we've done well to get to the Division 2 final. We're back up at the top boys in Division 1, but the game's out of Killarney. We haven't beaten Kerry and Killarney in the Championship since 1995. That's a big, big stat. Admittedly, we did beat Kerry in the McGrath Cup final in January in Killarney. That could be a positive for the group. And that they're winning games when it's going down the home stretch and it's tight. When we played our first, I'm not counting the Limerick game because we played our second team, we played a rotational outfit, and Limerick beat us that day in the McGrath Cup. But when we played our first team, we've won 8 out of 9 games as we're recording this. That's very, very good. It's a very good record that Cork have at this present moment as well. And we're going well. But this at the same time, I get, you'll probably understand this, Kerry are a superb team as well. So
they had that confidence as well. I think if you look at Kerry this time last year, they had gone out in the All-Ireland semi-final against Armagh. A lot of people were questioning Jack O'Connor this time last year. Should he have stayed on, everything like that? I think they were a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah.
They've won the All-Ireland. It was like when they beat Armagh in the quarter-final, it was like all of a sudden just chest stuck out.
Yeah.
They were confident. They really believed, actually, we're the best team in Ireland. And then they've looked imperious ever since. And I think they're a much, much more confident team this time than they were this time last year. I do believe that. But at the same time, Cork have got Stephen Sherlock in, and they didn't have him this time last year. And the things that he can add to this team is unbelievable. And Cork have, a lot of people are talking about Brendan McCall and everything like that, Mark and David Clifford. Cork have one of the best stylistic matchups for Clifford and Daniel O'Mahony that any county does.
Yeah.
Like, he's such a good man marker on Clifford. Obviously, he's the type that if you keep him to 6 points, it's a good day at the office because he's such an amazing footballer. I am going to go with Kerry to win Munster. Is there any disagreements? You're about going Kerry?
I'm going Kerry.
Yeah, going Kerry.
But after extra time.
Could you bend it to say that Cork will win? Or
Like it's impossible to say because Kerry are looking good at this present moment. I do agree on Daniel O'Mahony at full back, but the thing might scupper us, obviously Killarney, the factor there, and our defensive record isn't the best in Division 2, despite the fact we went up. So that might scupper us a small bit. But you have even players like Luke Fahey, Mark Crone and all them deserve a lot of credit as well. We now have a settled team. We know where our first starting 15 is. That's a positive going to Killarney, but no, I feel like Kerry will win the game, but it will be tight. I remember we played against Kerry 2 years ago, and this is a time when Cork lost 3 games on the bounce in Division 2 when everything was doom and gloom. We got Kerry to 3 points in Killarney that day, and Kerry went on, and I were very close against Armagh in the All-Ireland semi-final that year. So yeah, anything's possible, obviously, but yeah, I'd say Kerry should get over the line.
very good. Okay, so we've all gone for Kerry. Now we're going to move on to the Ulster Football Championship. And again, this one looking very, very interesting. I'll lead the charge this time with how I think the Ulster Championship is going to go. So obviously in the preliminary round, we have Armagh facing Tyrone. I think based off current form, you have to say Armagh will win that game. Then in the quarterfinals, Derry facing Antrim. I think Derry will win that game. Monaghan facing Cavan based off current form. I think Cavan will win that game. Fermanagh will face the winners of Armagh Tyrone, which I've said will be Armagh. I think Armagh will win that. Donegal playing Down. I think Donegal will shade that, but I think Down will give them a scare. And then in the semi-finals, I have it that Derry will play Cavan. I think Derry win that. Armagh play Donegal. I think Donegal win that. And then in the final, you've got Derry facing off against Donegal. And I think Donegal will win and win their third Ulster Championship in a row. Now, one of the big things that I've highlighted there is I think Derry are a great underdog shout to win the Ulster Championship this season, because you look at it, to win the Ulster Championship, they'll have to go through Antrim and Monaghan or Cavan and then whoever they meet in the final.
Yeah.
To get to the final, they have to beat Antrim and Monaghan or Cavan. Whereas the other side, you have Donegal, Tyrone, Armagh, Down, Fermanagh. Like, it's a much harder side of the draw, in my opinion. Derry could be a great shout to sneak in there and kind of overturn the apple cart the way they did in 2022. How do you see Ulster going?
Exactly the way you said it, to be honest with you. I think Donegal just have the edge on Armagh right now, albeit Armagh are probably sick to their teeth of Donegal and sick of Jim McGuinness and everything like that.
Is this Armagh's last shot to win Ulster?
I wouldn't say it's their last shot
Under McGeady.
but time is running out. The clock is running out, and like it's similar enough with Clare and the hurling. It gets to a stage where like you've won the All Ireland, yes, but does it get to a stage where if somebody says to you, would you rather win the Munster Championship or the All Ireland? Which one are you saying? And I think that's the same for Armagh in football. Do you want the Ulster title or do you want another All Ireland? And I think this year Armagh will be absolutely gunning to try and win an Ulster title. I think their game against Donegal in the semi-final, which I think will transpire as per the results in the previous rounds, I think it could be another game that goes to extra time again. I think there could be blood and thunder once again, which we love to see between these two sides just going at each other. The games that they've had over the last couple of years have been absolutely mesmerising to watch. It was a shame last year because I was at Kilkenny Offaly. I didn't get to watch the Ulster final in person at the time as it was happening, and I think Clare Tip was on at the same time, so there was a lot of cracking games on at the one time. But watching it back afterwards, even though I knew the result, I was still on the edge of my seat. That's the type of game that this game exuberates. So, but yeah, like you said, that's why I kind of said, yeah, Derry get to a final. Their route to the final is much easier than we even probably realised when we were doing the draw or anything like that. And yeah, I was impressed with Derry in Division 2. I mean, the way that, look, it is obviously tricky to go up to Derry from, say, Cork, the travel, and like you said, Cork, they went up in the end, so it doesn't matter really that much. But even seeing them against us, albeit we were very poor that night, Derry were absolutely magnificent. The way they moved the ball, their kick-out strategy, the way they were getting up to, the Cassidys, McGuigan, Conor Glass wasn't even playing that night, these types of players. I think that win against Tyrone was huge for them as well. Gave them a small bit of belief going in towards the season. They were close enough to Meath as well in Croke Park. And yeah, they're definite underdogs. And in a one-off, they've beaten Donegal recently in an Ulster final. It is a one-off a final at the end of the day. And yeah, but I think Donegal will just shade it in the final. I think Jim this year is saying, look, like you said at the time of recording this, we don't know if they've won the league final or not, but regardless if they have or not, I think Jim is just desperate to win everything this year. The mentality of us against the world is fully on with Donegal. They were enemies last year. Their antics on the All-Ireland final day and everything. And I think they're going to be kind of like that again this year. So I think Donegal are going to win Ulster once again. But I think Derry will run them close. It could be something like a 121 to 216 or something.
I don't want to hear anything if they lose the Ulster final. Don't want to hear anything about, oh, we didn't really want to win it, and none of that going on.
The league can say that, championship you can't say that.
What was the main thing in the final? Antics wise,
just like weren't they taking very long with the marching band, weren't they?
I think no. I think it was
that was in the All Ireland final against Kerry, was it?
That's what I was. Sorry, that's the final I was referring to, not the Ulster final.
Okay, yeah. So
the antics was after the match.
Yeah, because I was like, but anyway, Aaron, what are you expecting from Ulster this year?
Yeah, I actually think Armagh are going to win it. I think they're going to do it. I actually think it'll be Monaghan versus Derry in the semi-final. I think Monaghan will have enough to get over the line versus Cavan. I still don't think Cavan have been particularly brilliant this year. I think they've been fortunate enough that Kildare kind of fell off a cliff. So yeah, I think
they could have gone down, wasn't it?
Yeah, they could have went down.
Won, yeah.
Could have very easily went down. But I still think Derry will get to the final. But I think Armagh will do it. Like I think Armagh, like when you look at some of their performances in the league, I know they only just stayed up, but even how they played against Kerry, like how they battled back from 10 points down, how they battled back from 11 points down versus Dublin. You've got big players like Oisin Connaughty, who's obviously been in brilliant form. Darragh McMullen, I think, is a very good addition to the team as well. Keema Conville's been very good. I think Rian O'Neill will be back. I honestly do. I think they will bring him back at some stage. He has been playing with his club, Crossmaglen, as far as I know. So he is playing football. And I think he's too good of a player, too big of a player not to be brought back. And I'm hoping he does come back because he is a phenomenal footballer. I think they'll have Rory Grugan potentially back as well. So that's going to be absolutely huge from an Armagh perspective. And I think Ulster means everything to them. Do you know what I mean? Like Donegal, I think they'll nearly be more thinking about the All Ireland. Like I think that's the big focus for Donegal.
I'm actually being honest. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, Donegal have won 2 Ulsters in a row and haven't won the All Ireland.
Yeah, and it's an Ulster semi final as well. Like Donegal, Armagh will be coming in off the back of beating Tyrone and Fermanagh, in my opinion. I think they'll be confident. They'll be buzzing.
Yeah, I'm switching. I'm sorry, lads. I'm switching. I'm sorry. I'm switching.
Should be a salesman.
He sold it to me.
You could be a salesman.
He sold it to me. I'm sorry. I'm switching. Matthew, has he sold you on it as well?
Well, I was going to say Armagh before Aaron. Probably.
Right, I'll be the villain. I'll stick with my prediction. So,
but I'm going for Armagh simply because Jimmy's teams and even Donegal teams to a degree do not win 3 in a row Ulster titles.
that is a good point.
They don't. Like 2013 against Monaghan, raging hot favourites. Kieran Hughes and Conor McManus turned up and shocked them. 2020 against Cavan, okay, it was during COVID, still lost that final when they were massive favourites going into it.
Wasn't a Jimmy team though.
It wasn't a Jimmy team, but it was a Donegal team.
Okay.
So it's those 2 instances prove to me Donegal don't have the capabilities to win 3 in a row. They're going well at the moment. I think they will be in the shake-up for the All-Ireland, but I think Armagh's want will be there more to win an Ulster title. And to be fair, Armagh don't have a bad team and they haven't performed bad in the league. Like we've said it so many times before, the game against Galway, the games against Mayo in the league in particular, they were superb in both of them but still lost. Like Ross McQuillan was brilliant, Oisin Connaughty absolutely superb. Even around the middle of the park, I know Niall Grimley isn't there this year, but you have Ben Creeley, you have Callum O'Neill, who I'm really impressed with. Jarly O'Byrne's at wing back as well. Conor Turbot has the capacity to fire. And Rian O'Neill, there is the added bonus of him. If he comes back in for the Ulster semi-final against Donegal, if that's his first game back, imagine probably the outcry on that day or on social media.
I think he's back against Tyrone. I think he comes back against Tyrone. Yeah.
Comes on like Michael Murphy did last year and gets to a fight straight away.
Yeah.
And no harm a Tyrone fella will get sent off. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, I'd say Armagh will win the league. I agree with yourself, James, and Liam on Cavan beating Monaghan. Haven't been impressed with Monaghan.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Bannigan, his comments in the league have not inspired me with any confidence. Cavan got 4 points, but they were close in many games, including against Derry, including against Cork as well, with Stephen Sherlock's late 2-pointer, got them over the line in Parky Heath that day. Cavan haven't performed badly, whereas Monaghan haven't been good this year. So I think Cavan will get over the line, but I agree with you on Derry. They look serious. They look a very, very good team. But as I said before, I think Armagh's what will be there to win an Ulster title this year.
Perfect. So we'll move on now to the All-Ireland series. So we basically have the list of counties that are more or less already in the All-Ireland series. The ones that are in real danger of slipping is the loser, obviously, of Down and Wexford will go into the Táilteann Cup. That could be either of them. Obviously, again, disclaimer, this podcast is taking place before that final. We all are probably saying that Down are the favourites to win that league final, but Wexford definitely have a puncher's chance. Cavan and Tyrone then are the two next positions up in the league. So depending on how provincial championships go, if Sligo upset the apple cart and beat Galway, there could be things that could change. But the rest, the ones that are basically safe in the All-Ireland, you've got Armagh, Cork, Derry, Donegal, Dublin, Galway, Kerry, Kildare, Louth, Mayo, Meath, Monaghan, Roscommon. They're kind of the big counties that are already secure in the All-Ireland Championship. And apologies if there are any that I've got wrong there or anything like that. We've talked about the structure. Obviously, we have the Sigerson Cup format. It's impossible to guess kind of how each stage that is going to go. But who do we think is going to get to the final four? In whatever order, which counties? And this is obviously before we know who the draw is. You know, we could pick Armagh to get to the final four and they could get Kerry away or something like that. Final four is your All-Ireland contenders, and then who do you think is going to go from there? So don't list them in semi-finals as who plays who, but Aaron, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, so I think the front four are Kerry, Donegal, Armagh, and I actually think Roscommon will be there as well. I actually think they're going to be a dark horse and surprise everyone a little bit this season from what I've seen of them, and get to an All-Ireland semi-final, maybe in a similar way to what we saw with Meath last season. But yeah, I still think Kerry, Donegal and Armagh are a bit above the rest. I do have a funny feeling it could be a Kerry Armagh final. I actually do think Armagh can offer something a little bit different when they're playing Kerry. Look, I know they did fall apart in that quarter final last season, but let's not forget they did have, I think, a 6-point lead at one stage, a 7-point lead. Like, everything was going fairly good up until half time.
Especially Grugan's goal. Like, when that went in, I was thinking they're about to beat them again.
I still think Kerry will win it. Look, ultimately, I still think they're a cut above the rest. They've far too much firepower across the board. I think the newer players they've introduced now as well have improved them even further. Killian Trance, Keith Evans, Dylan Gainey is now playing the way he's playing for Kerry as he was with Dingle. So he's been in brilliant form. You still have Paul Gainey to potentially come back. They're absolutely stacked, I think, Kerry across the board. Midfield is solid. Tom O'Sullivan, is kicking 2-pointers left, right and centre. Paddy Clifford didn't even play the last few rounds of the league. Yeah, I think Kerry will have enough. I think Armagh's the one team that I look at and think they could potentially push Kerry a little bit closer, but I do think Kerry will win the All-Ireland.
I agree. I think my top four right now is in no particular order. My top four right now is Kerry, Donegal, Armagh, Mayo, in whatever order you want it. But I think Kerry are number one. I think Kerry are going to win the All-Ireland whichever way it plays out. I think the confidence that they've got from last season, it's like they've got new players back as well. With Paul Gainey, he wasn't there at the latter stage of last year. Neither was Tom O'Sullivan, which is quite frightening to think about when you saw how good they were for Dingle then. And it's scary to even think that Mark O'Connor doesn't play for them and he would walk into that team. It's scary to think of like players like Killian Burke that aren't on the panel because they're over in Australia. The level of depth that they have and the level of ability that they have to produce these players is off the charts. And I think throughout the league campaign they've added in some good players as well, the likes of Armin Heinrich, Keith Evans. These lads have bedded into the squad quite well. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kerry to win the All-Ireland again. I think they are the best team in Ireland, and I think Jack O'Connor is desperate to break the Jack doesn't do back-to-back kind of curse that has been over his career. So, yeah, I think Kerry will banish that, and I think they'll win the All-Ireland this year. Yeah, Liam, what are you expecting?
I agree with Kerry, Donegal and Armagh, but I actually think Meath are going to get to the All-Ireland semi-finals this year. And I actually am very tempted to say it'll be a Kerry-Meath final. I'm very, very tempted. But I think Kerry and Donegal could actually meet in a semi-final instead. Weirdly, I just have this weird feeling. And I agree with you, Kerry have Donegal's number right now, in my opinion. I think they're just, it's like a kryptonite for Donegal, Kerry are at the moment. And I think if Meath were to get like an Armagh
tomorrow.
Disclaimer. But I think if Meath were to like get an Armagh, I think that could be a potential. I think that's a game I would love to see, Meath and Armagh this year at some stage in the championship. I think that would be an absolutely cracking encounter. And I think Meath could surprise people. I think, listen, Meath really impressed me. Okay, look, I know it was a dead rubber for us in the final round of the league, but I was really impressed with Meath against us. The way their firepower up front, the way they moved the ball, like you said, the belief that they have. They all look happy to be playing for Meath again. And they have the experience of playing in Croke Park now a couple of times this year. Won last year in Croke Park as well. Remember, against Galway in a crucial All-Ireland quarter-final, albeit Donegal, destroyed them in a semi-final. But Meath, I'd say at that stage, were just happy to even get that far last year. So I have a weird feeling it could be, I'm going to say for the time being, a Kerry-Armagh final. But I think Meath are definitely within a shout of getting there. But again, look, I think Kerry are just far and wide. Watching David Clifford last year, he was like right in front of us as well, where we were sitting. He wasn't looking at the ball for most of the game, and he still ended the first half with 6 points?
Yeah.
7 points? Like he was just absolutely on fire. The kicks that he gave, the points he got, but it allowed players like Gavin White to come more into the game. And, Paudie Clifford touched the ball, 80 times in that game and everything like that. So yeah, I think Kerry are going to do back-to-back. And yeah, it's going to be a fairy tale ending. And I believe as well, isn't that the 40th Sam Maguire they're going to win this year as well? What a way to do it.
Yeah, that would be pretty impressive. Matthew, is it a clean sweep in terms of picking Kerry, or is there a spanner in the works?
There's a spanner in the works.
Oh, let's have it.
No, I did actually put it to a final 8 initially, but I said the sides will go out in the quarterfinals are Derry, Galway, Mayo, Cork in no particular order. Then the semi-finalists, I'd same as Liam actually, Kerry, Meath, Armagh and Donegal. My thing with Kerry is, number one, and many people have said I'm wrong on this, but the stats would back it up. 48% of Kerry's scores in the league have come from either David Clifford or Sean O'Shea. That is the most over-reliant on the top two scores of any league finalist. That is, even like Donegal, for example, Conor O'Donnell and Michael Langan have 30% of Donegal scores. So I still think Kerry are way too over-reliant on Clifford and O'Shea. There is an argument Dylan Gainey's got into it and Joe O'Connor examples, but that has to be a problem that has to be ironed out. Another thing as well, and this is omens, Jack doesn't do back-to-back. He doesn't. I'm sorry, look, he's had chances, obviously against Dublin in 2023. That was a big opportunity to do it. Dublin caught them on the hop on that day. Mm-hmm. There's other examples. Obviously, there was examples against Tyrone in the noughties as well from a Kerry point of view.
2010 sticks out for me as well.
2010, yeah. Exactly.
Losing to Down in the quarterfinal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a slip-up. I think there might be a slip-up in Kerry. Who's going to win it, though? Same as Liam, I'd love to see Meath win it. Because of the football.
I wouldn't say love, but
yeah, I
wouldn't. Wouldn't say love, but
no. But apparently we're Meath lads. So,
Well, give Meath plenty.
For context,
plenty
someone
of praise.
said in a comment that typical Meath lads, because we said Meath would get promoted, and we've probably fairly obvious Dublin accents. I would say.
I was wearing a Dublin
yeah,
top.
You were.
Anyway.
But yeah, Meath have some fantastic players. They play football on the front foot, and I'd like to think they've learned from that semi-final against Donegal last year. I'd look at towards, it's a bold prediction, but I'm going to go Armagh to win it.
Okay. Very good.
I feel like Armagh should do it, and it's going to be a very, very tight one to call.
Well, the last competition then to turn to is the Táilteann Cup. The teams that are most likely to be in the Táilteann Cup, obviously nobody is confirmed for the Táilteann Cup yet. We could still have new entries to the Sam Maguire, but I think you have to look at teams in Division 4, like your Antrams, Carlows that got out, Clare who are in Division 3, Fermanagh, Laois, Leitrim, Limerick, London, Longford, New York, Offaly, Sligo, Tipperary, Waterford, Westmeath and Wicklow. Now straight away there are obviously big fish that could get dropped in. We're talking if Wexford beat Down, you have to put Down in as one of the favourites. If Wexford go in there, you have to look at them as one of the favourites. Cavan, if they get pulled in, which could happen, you have to look at them as well. If Tyrone get dragged in, it'd be absolutely insane. For me, based off the teams that are most likely to be in there, I'm looking at Westmeath as a potential front runner. Obviously, they've won the inaugural Táilteann Cup. They've been there or thereabouts in every edition that they've been in. I would look at them. But, lads, any picks? I'd go Westmeath as of right now. I'd go Westmeath. Any other picks?
It goes without saying if Down drop into it, Down.
Yeah.
But, I'd say Westmeath should win it, but I think Wexford will be really rattling the cage.
Yeah, the two of them could meet again. That would be unbelievable. Offaly, maybe?
I've said Westmeath will beat Wexford in a final. I think at this moment in time, if Offaly go into the Táilteann Cup, just say, with the squad we have now, I think it could be a very early exit for us, given the way we performed in the league and the players that we don't have back. If we can get some players back, there's always a chance. And I can imagine that Mickey Hart, if it is to be his final year, which I think it will be, alongside Declan Kelly, will want to win a championship of some kind.
He's not walking. He's not walking.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
It's either they push him or he stays.
Yeah. Look, that's a story for another day. But I don't see us winning the Táilteann Cup at this current moment of time. If we can get some players back, you never know. We can ruffle some feathers. But I think with Killian Burke being gone as well, over to Australia is a big loss as well. I think Mark McHugh will want to win a championship in his first season. I think Westmeath, again, will be pissed off with the way they didn't win Division 3 or get up to the final anyway. Yeah, I think it's going to be a Westmeath-Wexford final. I think Westmeath will actually... I'll say positive. I think we'll get to a semi-final, but I think Westmeath or Wexford at this moment in time would be just ahead of us. But it goes without saying, if down come down, I think they'll win it.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you agree, Anne?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Westmeath to win it as well. I do think Offaly will have a better campaign maybe than what you're saying in Táilteann Cup. I do think the Mickey Hart factor will be there. I think they will get a tune out of the players that are even there. But no, I think Westmeath will do it.
Okay, so it's time for the recap. Matthew, I'll go to you first if you look down the lens. Your football predictions for 2026. Connacht winners.
Mayo.
Leinster winners.
Meath.
Munster winners.
Kerry.
Ulster winners.
Armagh.
Táilteann Cup winners.
Westmeath.
Player of the Year.
David Clifford.
Dark Horses.
Meath.
All-Ireland winners.
Armagh.
Liam, you're next. Connacht winners.
Mayo.
Leinster winners.
Meath.
Munster winners.
Kerry.
Ulster winners.
Donegal.
Táilteann Cup winners.
Westmeath.
Player of the Year.
I am going to say either David Clifford or Conor O'Donnell with a shout-out call to Jordan Morris.
Dark Horses.
Meath.
All-Ireland winners.
Kerry.
Aaron. Connacht winners.
Mayo.
Leinster winners.
Meath.
Munster winners.
Kerry.
Ulster winners.
Armagh.
Táilteann Cup winners.
Westmeath.
Player of the Year.
David Clifford.
Dark Horses.
Roscommon.
And All-Ireland winners.
Kerry.
Okay, someone wants to put me on the grill.
So, Seamus, your All-Ireland predictions for 2026. Connacht winners.
Mayo.
Leinster winners.
Dublin.
Munster winners.
Kerry.
Ulster winners.
Armagh.
Táilteann Cup winners.
Westmeath.
Player of the Year.
I'm going to say Joe O'Connor.
Dark Horses.
Meath.
All-Ireland winners.
Kerry. Okay. So, lads, that's the football year of 2026 previewed and predicted in Championship. We've gone through the Táilteann Cup and all 4 provincial championships and then the All-Ireland series as well, and bravely predicted what we think is going to happen. Don't forget to check out our hurling preview show, our camogie preview show and LGFA preview show, and tune in with us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for a weekend preview and every Sunday night at 8 p.m. for a weekend review show, all across the championship season. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next one, Torár.